When I realized that I was doing things out of habit or expectation or routine, I stopped and was like, why am I doing this? And then that's when I came to like, I'm not going to do things that I don't want to do anymore. Because that's counterproductive. When I freely choose myself, those expectations fall away, the pressure falls away, and then I'm just chilling and I'm vibing. And it's like, I have to start living for me because it's not going to work any other way.
Welcome, Queer Kittens, to Quest, a journey to wellness. I'm V, a two-spirit human, joy influencer, energy worker, and dad joke connoisseur. All pronouns accepted. Our mission with this podcast is to help queer folks find radical acceptance through loving themselves and others in their community. You'll hear stories from folks who have taken their happiness and well-being into their own hands by examining what they've found helpful along the way. We hope this podcast brings you joy where you'll learn, laugh, heal, and grow. Welcome, Queer Kittens and new earballs. Happy Halloween. Got a Halloween question to ask you. Why didn't the skeleton cross the road? Because he didn't have the guts. I love me some dad jokes and hope you enjoyed that. We have a spooktacular episode coming up for you. This episode is all about creating your own character in your own life to get closer to radical love and acceptance for yourself. Today, our guest is Helixir Jynder Byntwell. He was crowned San Francisco's Drag King of the Year in 2022 in the Drag Strip Presents San Francisco's Drag King Contest, the biggest drag king competition in the world. He's a Black, trans-nonbinary drag king, emo sad-boi, and the dapper daddy of your dreams. He's also a barber here in San Francisco. So if you want a queer, gender-affirming haircut, hit him up on IG at Genji the Barber and follow his drag page too at Helixir Drag. These all will be in the show notes. In this episode, Helixir goes into stories about, the toxic society, gender normative behaviors. And normative, you can't see my fingers, but I did quotations. Helixir's going to go through some stories that went on through their lives, and we're just going to be chatting about how to stop putting people in boxes. How do we stop this? It makes me think of my nephews and nieces and just like they want to enjoy a toy and then are told, you can't have fun with that because of your genitals. That's so weird. We're teaching our kids this, not we, society as a whole. We got to figure out how to get out of that because today's climate recently against drag is insane. And I didn't think I really knew the impact of it until I started watching, I think it's a show on HBO called We Are Here. Holy moly, like people in these towns, it's crazy. I live in a bubble. And that bubble became very apparent through this show and just seeing all this hate, but seeing these queens going into these towns, like dressing up people who are queer, who are straight, who are just trying to support their kids, who are like trying to show the community like, yo, it's not all that bad, are dressing up either as drag queens or drag kings. And they're just being authentic no matter all the hate that's happening in all these little towns. And the visibility is so liberating for folks in these environments, like not only like liberating from the environment, but also liberating from their own self-oppression. And I kid you not, go and try and watch that show and not cry. And come tell me you didn't cry. And speaking of boxes, I went on a trip to celebrate like a queer, trans, non-binary party that I was a part of called VAMP, that was thrown by Nico Stormont in San Francisco. And basically all of the people that were involved in this party, we went out to Joshua Tree and all had an Airbnb, and I got the opportunity to get super close to Helixir. And there was a photo we took where we lifted up our shirts and took a picture with our bellies out. And since then, we've been belly boys. So super excited for you to hear more about Helixir and their experience through today's climate against drag. It's incredible.
My name is Helixir Jynder Byntwell. My pronouns are he, they. I am a top sun, bottom moon, verse rising.
And outside of face, do you want to introduce that?
Yes. So out of drag, I go by Genji, and I am a they, them.
Yes, love it.
Woo!
I'm so excited to have you here, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, after our little Joshua Tree trip and then, watching your performances, I was like, yes, we need to have him here. We need your energy here. Yes, shimmy, shimmy.
Shimmy, shimmy.
Exactly where did the name Helixir Jynder Byntwell come from?
Ooh, okay. So it took me a while to choose my drag name. I wanted it to be a play on words, but nothing like no shade to anybody else, but I didn't want it to be a super cheesy pun name. I still wanted it to be a pun and like a play on words, but I didn't want it to be like common. And I wanted like an X in my name, Axel or something like that, right? But I couldn't figure like how to place it. But then I thought Helixir. Elixir has an X in it. Elixir sounds hella cool, but Helixir, it's like, come on. It's right there. It's right there. And then Jynder Byntwell. So, my name's Genji. Most every account, anything that I've ever had, like social media wise, has had some variation of Jen in it. So whether it's like a video game account, YouTube, Instagram, whatever, it had Jen in there. And so I was like, how can I incorporate Jen into this drag persona? And so I was thinking about what I want my drag style to be, and I want people to know it from my name. Mm-hmm. So that's how I came up with Jynder Byntwell, because I'm doing like the gender bending thing, and I'm doing it well. So it is like all these different things. Like 3 is my favorite number. I wanted 3 names. I wanted a last name. I wanted it to be classy. So like when people write my name, it's like Mr. Byntwell. Stop. Okay. Mr. Byntwell. That's classy. I got a suit on. Like I'm in a tux.
Watching all your performances, watching your social media, you exude such an incredible amount of confidence, pride, and joy. I kind of was wondering, like, have you always felt that way in your body and your identity?
Growing up, I had this cute little unibrow. It was not appreciated at the time, but and I also had like these little crooked teeth, and I had braces from the time I was 7 to 14. And so you can imagine kids being kids. It was not fun growing up, but I got my braces off when I was 14. It was freshman year in high school. I guess I was like bullied for my authenticity. So it's like people would be like trying to be super cool, but I was like, I won class clown because I wasn't afraid of like making a fool of myself. I never really took myself too seriously. I've always been like a jokester, but it's been like later in life that I've gotten like more confidence about it. I've always been like freely expressing myself, but with the insecurity behind it. And it's only been like the most recent 2 or 3 years that I've really come into myself and be like, you know what? I don't care what anybody else thinks. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So it's like, even if I like dressed how people wanted me to dress and did my hair and worked the jobs they wanted me to work and just like had the hobbies they wanted me to have, I wouldn't be happy. So it's like, you could do what other people want you to do, but someone's always going to be like complaining. You know what I mean? Or I could be authentic and do what I want to do and be happy, and they'll still complain, you know?
Yeah.
The only difference is like, I'll actually be happy because I'm doing what I want to do and like being authentic about it. I've always authentically been myself, but I would say that the confidence came later.
Yeah. What would you say was that switch for you where you finally was like, fuck y'all, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, because no matter how much you hate, like, I'm still having this beautiful smile on my face?
Let's see, 2020, I was in a very unhealthy relationship. It was not good for my wellness. And at that time, I got this tattoo. I don't know if y'all can see. It says self. And so...
Oh, it's like one of those like heart tattoos with like the banner, and it says self on the banner. Like
it's like American a mom tattoo, but instead of mom, it's self. And
nice.
Basically, it was like, so many people can make you feel like they can shake your sense of self, and they can make you feel out of sync. And especially like with that relationship I was in, it's like I was very much reducing myself and minimizing myself for that person's, not their comfort, but just like trying to cater to their every need. And it's like they should have been doing that work for themselves. So I realized I can't pour all of myself into someone or something. Like, at the end of the day, what matters is me. And like, at the end of the day, all you have is yourself. Like, we have community and all that, but like, I have to be right with myself and make sure that I am my biggest ally and like my biggest advocate, because I would let myself get lost in like these situations, you know, just living life and working a job that I hated or something, or just being a person. So I got this tattoo because I wanted to remember, like, I am my priority. Then around that same time, I started making decisions that were authentic to how I felt. I was a people pleaser, and most of the time that meant being in situations I didn't want to be in or doing things I didn't want to do. And it wasn't authentic. And I guess I finally reached my breaking point where I was like, I have to start living for me, because it's not going to work any other way. There's nothing wrong with being selfless and understanding and like wanting to like accommodate those around you. But when it comes to the detriment of your own like mental health, like, it's not good. So around that same time, I decided to build the trust within myself. So if I say like, I don't want to go sit on that swing, but then I go sit on the swing, my internal is not going to say, oh yeah, like, I know that I don't have to do that. It's going to say, I know that you're going to make me do things, even if we don't feel like doing it. So I feel like my biggest challenge was like building that self-trust. And once I felt like I could really trust myself, that's where more confidence came from, because I realized it's me and myself. We're a team, right? So knowing that I have my back and that I will stand up for myself, I will advocate for myself, I will go out dressed how I want to look and not be afraid, because I feel like I would still do those things, but I would be like insecure about it or like self-conscious. In 2020, I really started to just, it was hard because like I am socially anxious. I am a depressed little zaddy as well, you know. I began the practice of doing the hard thing, even though it's scary, because I know something better is like in store. So like, even starting drag for the first time, I had to go by myself to my first drag show, like in person, in drag, but none of my friends wanted to come because it was a school night. And I knew that I had to do it, even though I had to do it alone. And like, I'm in face, I'm in a new place, I'm going to like an already established show, which is the Rebel Kings of Oakland. And I don't know, I just feel like I kept having these moments of like, I need to do these things because I know it's going to take me closer to where I want to be. So even if I got to be scared right now, we just got to do it scared.
Nice. And then what made you even like learn about drag? Like, what was, oh yeah, I want to do that.
So I had been to like maybe 1 or 2 drag shows before I started. And I remember people just started telling me, oh, you would make a really good drag king. And I'm like, that's random. Because like I was not into makeup. I did not dress in extravagant clothes. I was just like, how do you know that I would be a good drag king? But Landon Sider ended up being on Dragula season 3, and he won. And he was the first drag king that I had seen. And so just by like really watching Dragula, I feel like I started to get more into drag. And then it's like that thing where the curiosity just takes over. And I was like, okay, I actually have to like try to get into makeup, because I had no experience with makeup. The one time that I did put on makeup, it came out atrocious. So I wasn't looking forward to that, because I was like, I'm so not feminine. I so pushed away all those things growing up. So having to like go back into it on my terms was super interesting, but it ended up allowing me to like really explore my gender and like open up new avenues of self-expression that I didn't even know I needed. And so that began like my love of drag. I was like, all right, let's put on a mustache. And like the first mustache I ever put on, I was like, whoa. It felt like, is this going too far? Like, is this like, I had not played with my masculinity too much up until that point. And so am I like going too far? Am I taking this whole thing? You know, but the reception that I got from my friends was like, oh my God, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
And like, it looked nothing like my makeup looks now, but like, even though it was like a little scraggly little mustache, like it made me happy, you know? And like, it gave me the inspiration to like keep going and like try to do my makeup better and like find new ways to express myself.
So would you say that Helixir gave a certain empowerment to Genji?
Absolutely. I used to say that Helixir was my alter ego. I'd be like, Helixir is who Genji wants to be. So like, Helixir is the suave, confident, bold person, you know, and like, I'm a shy guy, you know what I mean? Helixir could be shy if he wanted to be, but like, he's the guy who's just like already confident. Like, what does he have to worry about? You know? And it's like, it's really like stepping into a character. I've been able to take that confidence and translate it into my daily life in the ways that like I feel like I advocate for myself more, and like I have less fear. I have less fear going into the world, ironically, through doing drag. Because I'm like, I've been received in like the multitudes of my expression, and I'm loved and celebrated for it. And it's like, once I hit the streets, what do I care about some rando who's like hating online? Like, what do I care about like all these things that don't really matter? It's like, at the end of the day, it's myself and my people, you know?
Yeah. So you would say like you removed yourself from that environment and created a new environment where it's like, now it's like, yo, world, here is me. But you did that through this character of Helixir that brought Genji to life.
Exactly. And it's actually interesting that you bring that up, because recently I reintroduced myself on my Genji Instagram and Facebook. These are people who have known me from high school up until now. A lot of people know me one way, but through being Helixir, I feel like I've found myself in a community that loves me and accepts me so much that I had detached myself from who Genji was before. I've been doing drag for like 3.5 years now, and I realized I'm super present like as Helixir, but I feel like Genji needs a little tending. So like I reintroduced myself, I came out again. Now I'm like finding the balance of letting both exist now that I have the confidence to exist how I would like as Genji. Now I'm working on like merging the two. It's easy to be confident and self-assured when I'm in environments that foster like self-love and like encourage me to be who I am. But it's so hard to be like, hey, y'all know my dead name. You know my old pronouns. Now I'm asking you to see me in a new way and receive me. And through my lived experience as a queer person, it's not always the most received thing. It caused me like a lot of stress, but now I'm like, I feel rooted enough in myself and like secure enough to interact with myself outside of drag in a way that like lets that person grow. Cause like I've been working on my art a lot for the last 3 years, but I'm like, what else does Genji want to do? Like Genji wanted to do drag, and then we got Helixir. So like Helixir's not going anywhere, but it's like learning how to see myself in all of my versions.
Yeah, yeah. And I've seen when your presence is existing in a room, I see other people who tend to like fit that binary, jump out of the binary and play with the femininity and masculinity when they're around you. Because like you create like this safe space. It's like, just be who you are, arrive how you are, snap your finger, and then like, you know.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like I had this neighbor at the last place I lived, and these are my downstairs neighbors, and it was this cis man and wife, or husband and wife, and he was just like a normal straight dude, but he would like, he got his haircut by me, and like when we would talk, I'm like going like this, and like I remember I had told him something was cute, the cat that was in the house or something, and I was like, oh my God, and he was sitting there and it was so cute, and he goes, oh my God, I know, right? And like he literally mirrored me, and like his voice went high, his wrists were doing it, like
Yes.
and this is like some like cishet dude that probably is used to like performing masculinity, and I see that come out of people, and it makes me aware of myself, but I'm also like, that's a beautiful thing that like they felt comfortable enough and safe enough to like let that guard down, stop masking, and play. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and for those
like,
of y'all that couldn't see what Genji was doing or Helixir was doing with their hands, they were doing like the weak wrist, you know, like when you're just like, oh, are they gay? You do the limp wrist. And then the other one was like the hands on the face, like shocked of how cute stuff is.
It was cute. Like this dude, he was like 6'3", and he's like, "Oh my God!" And I'm like, "Yeah."
It's playful. It's playful. I feel like when we shove ourselves in these boxes of gender norms, it almost becomes less playful because you have to arrive a certain way.
And that's work. That is literal labor. You know, like it's wild because I never really felt femme. But then like when you present a little more mask, then people make like assumptions about you. And so like I've had it where people expect me to arrive more hard and tough. And I am like the softest little gummy bear out there, bro. Like you cannot expect this bad boy, I'm gonna hurt your feelings. You know, like I don't care about nothing. It's like I kiss my dog every day. You know what I mean? Like I'm that guy.
Yeah.
But it's also a reflection of that standard that is put on masked people, like even like cis masked people. You're expected to hold the weight of this role. And if you don't, then I don't know. It's like the social pressure is heavy, but it's also non-existent. Because when you decide not to participate, then there's no more rules, you know? So it's like deciding whether or not you want to keep playing the game. Because that's what I had to do. Like, remember in Joshua Tree, we were belly boys and we had our tummies out?
Yeah.
I would have never been walking around in a sports bra around people, letting my body just be. And that's because like I was playing by rules of a game I didn't even want to play. So we're human being, and that is a verb. It's not a noun. You know, like we're just meant to be. And I feel like the more I started to get that through my head, the less the pressure started to like weigh on me as much.
Yeah. Yeah. That reminds me of a quote you said the other day that really stuck with me. That you said, the freedom that came with choosing myself.
Oh, yes. When I realized that I was doing things out of habit or expectation or routine, I stopped and was like, why am I doing this? And then that's when I came to like, I'm not going to do things that I don't want to do anymore. Because that's counterproductive. Like doing things you literally don't want to do, it's draining.
It's work.
So when I freely choose myself, like I said, those expectations fall away, the pressure falls away. And then I'm just chilling and I'm vibing. And it's like, there's enough going on in the world. I don't have to worry about literally existing. It's my form. This is my little avatar.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
I would dress it up how I want.
Yes, yes. We have a couple last questions. I know that Genji does really great work, and I thought that you should also share that with everybody.
as Genji, I am a queer barber. I've been getting my hair cut for like the last 10 years and navigating the barber scene as a AFAB queer brown person. It's like, it is so hard finding people who can cut your texture of hair, people who will give you the hairstyle that you want because, quote unquote, you're a woman and clearly you should have longer hair, you know, or not knowing what to ask for simply because that's a different world that I wasn't existing in previously. So I realized that I wanted to create a safe space for queer, trans, POC folk to just get a haircut, get a service, be pampered, and be treated because we're deserving of the softness that everybody else gets. And it's so hard to feel safe when you're receiving services like that. So knowing that I'm Black, that I'm queer, that I'm trans, knowing that I get it, that I understand queer styles, and knowing that like I'm not going to sit here and judge you. I'm not going to tell you what you should get. My whole thing is giving people the haircuts that they want with the skill that they want without having to have it be DIY. Because most of the time, like for queer hair, we do it ourselves. Mm-hmm. And you deserve to sit in a chair and feel good and then leave having received love and care. And then when you go out into the world, you look amazing and you feel great. And when my hair is done, I feel great. Like I'm rocking this little hairstyle right now.
Mm-hmm.
And like my confidence has been high. So I've got on the top, we're doing kind of like a mullet. So it's shaved down. We've got a design on the side. And then in the back, we've got long faux locks that have this ombre from black to pastel purple. Mm. And it's really like the mix of masculinity and femininity for me. Knowing how great I feel after a haircut, I love giving that to other people. Because then like I see them posting on their story, going out, applying for new jobs, like asking the person that they thought was cute out. So much happens when you feel good. And yeah, that's my whole little mission. So I'm located in San Francisco, across from El Rio at Salon 3155. I'm also cutting in Oakland right now at Muller Barber College. I'm finishing up my apprenticeship and I'm almost like this close to graduating. So I'd be cutting hairs.
Right? So you making people feel powerful and also safe in drag and outside of drag. That empowerment is just continuing in all of your existences.
I'm just a little safety net.
Or you're also just like your visibility in your authenticity is inspiring.
Yeah.
You know?
Thank you.
Yeah. And for me, I have never taken a belly boy picture with anyone else but you.
Belly boys.
Belly boys.
No, I love that. Like literally being, it's not like just the drag scene, but just like the queer scene overall. I'm surrounded by so many amazing, beautiful, artistic people in all their different forms, and being able to witness them just like in their form inspired me to be in mine. And now I'm doing that for other people. And it's literally like so beautiful just like to watch the ripple and like, you know, have conversations with people and be like, hey, like you gave me something new to think about. That's all I'm trying to do for people, is just show them like there is another option.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not set in stone. The option is literally whatever you want. And there's no rules.
We did keep like mentioning these gender boxes and like being shoved in these boxes. And I feel like maybe the experience can be the same or different for everyone. Where did that come from for you in terms of society, our own community? What made you feel like you had to shove yourself in a box of gender?
Well, I feel like being born female, there's already like a load of expectations, like your favorite color, what you're going to be into, your interests. And it definitely started at home. I wasn't allowed to like wear boys' clothes necessarily. Like,
same.
My mom would always try to like, she would always try to put me in like these super girly outfits. And like, I have photos of myself as a kid, like in these dresses, and I look miserable. Like I look pissed. I'm like, And she's like, there's a photo of me like this. Was not feeling it. Like the thumbs up was false. And I feel like definitely like it's so ingrained in our society that like people enforce it without realizing that they're enforcing it. Because if a girl wants to wear blue, or I used to be on the wrestling team in high school, and it's like that's a boy sport. It's like, literally, how are you telling me you're not allowed to do this physical action because of your sex? That's so limiting. There are boys who didn't even want to wrestle me because they're like, oh, you're a girl. Like, if I win, it's because you're a girl. If I lose, that's embarrassing. Therefore, I don't even want to. And I'm like, you can't win. You literally cannot win. It's like super ingrained in our society. And then, there's always people making like offhanded comments. You'd be prettier if. You'd look really nice. If it wasn't for blank, you'd be.
Where is that coming from?
Yeah, like people are like assuming people are like an unpolished brick of marble, right? Like we're like this big slab of marble full of potential. There are people who will like try to chip away and make you how they want you to be instead of just letting you naturally be how you want to be.
Would you say you get that from our community as well?
Yes, in the sense that like I identify as non-binary, trans-masc, pansexual. When I was identified as a lesbian, there were people who automatically wanted to put me in the stud box, but it's like I was never hard enough to be a stud. I wasn't femme enough to be a femme, so I was always in the middle. But because I wasn't femme, they put me in like the next closest thing that they could think of, and I feel like if we had terms like non-binary when I was growing up and like gender fluid, people would not have put such heavy pressures. So like I used to date people who expect me to act like a man when like I was still cis identified and a lesbian. You know what I mean? So like you're trying to force me to be like super masculine, or I had even had it like ingrained in my mind that I couldn't do certain things because I wasn't presenting a certain way. So like I would say, well, a girl can sit on my lap, but I'm not going to sit on a girl's lap. I will sit on a girl's lap in a heartbeat these days. You know what I mean? Like, come on now, like make me feel pretty. Like I want to feel dainty. I want to feel like a little thing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, and I love doing that for other people too. But like to be able to feel small and safe is a luxury. You know what I mean? And like that is not something that I was afforded in my teens to like mid-20s. Even though I've always been like this little goober and like super soft and like tender, it's like the expectations people had of me didn't match my reality. So it created an imbalance. And when you have expectations and no follow through on those expectations, it leaves you feeling like confused. I would go into like the women's restroom, and then people would look at me as if I didn't belong in the women's restroom. But if I say I'm trans and I want to be a man and I go to the men's restroom, it's wrong. But if I'm cis, born female, and going to the restroom, I'm still getting looks. And it's like, what do y'all want me to do? Yeah. And that's why I was mentioning earlier, like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, because I'm going to the correct bathroom, quote unquote, but when I go, it's still a problem. When I go to the bathroom I want to go to, it's a problem. So it's like, you really just got to do what makes you happy, because I'm not going to sit here and be inauthentic to myself and it still be a problem. Like, if it's going to be a problem, then I might as well do what I need to do, And I think it's realizing that like it was internalized for me, because just as much as like I've been affected by society, I'm still a part of society. So it's like, we're all being like fed the same stuff, especially like growing up in like the the early to mid 90s and like the early 2000s. There's movies people don't watch anymore because it was a problematic time. I was equally affected by those things, but it's like having the self-awareness and like being able to say, here's what is, and there's another option. Like, I don't have to participate in this, especially if it makes me feel icky. Like if it doesn't make me feel good, it makes me feel insecure, it makes me feel low, and I'm judging myself by standards that someone else has set that I don't meet. What am I doing here? We're not going to play this game anymore because I'm not going to win.
Yeah.
You will never win a game that was designed for you to lose.
Literally.
Simple as that. So I'm not playing anymore. I've packed up. I left the table and I don't care.
Yes. You made your own table.
Yes. And that's another thing. I've seen people fight for a seat at the table. And I am sick of sitting at tables where I'm not wanted. Why would I eat your food? If someone invited me into their home and I knew they actively resented me and they didn't even like respect me baseline, why would I even enter your home?
That food's going to
So
poison
why would I want
you.
to sit at your table? Exactly. Like, baby, I'm going to be at my house, at my table, making it how I want it. Because again, why do I want to be a part of something that is not for me? Everything is not for everybody. And that's what my mom has always told me. And that's been like a huge life lesson. No matter how much you might want something or think you might want to be a part of something, sometimes it's not what you need. It's what you want. And so being able to recognize, like, do I need to dress like a girl, or am I being told I need to dress like a girl? Or do I need to do this, or am I being told, actually questioning the intention behind your actions. Because the moment I started doing that, I was like, wait, why am I doing these things when like my inner monologue is telling me otherwise? Because we know how we feel. Even if we never say it out loud, we think it.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're just like passing thoughts, but we don't pay attention to it because it's just flippant. It's like I'd rather not do that, or this makes me uncomfortable, but that's the way it is. And it's like, but it doesn't have to stay that way.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
That's why I feel like through visibility and just showing up, that shows people like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to be miserable. Willfully.
That right there. You don't have to be miserable. If you could have the listeners walk away with anything in particular from this experience, what would that be?
Okay. What I've been living by for, I guess, like the last year or so is you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I would encourage everyone, if there's anything that is like burning in your mind, on your heart, that you really, really want to do, you really want to pursue, a chance you want to take, you should do it. Like if you need a sign, this is your sign. I quit my career 5 years, my 9 to 5 with benefits and all the nice things that people want. And I literally gave that up to be an artist. And here I am, like a year later, almost a licensed barber, a little pop-in drag king. And I have a community that I didn't have before that. So by just stepping out and choosing myself, I was able to literally create the life that I wanted. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't like it just happened overnight, but it took discipline. It took leaning on my community and realizing like, while independence is awesome, you don't have to be fiercely independent. And that's what I've always been. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'll carry 10 bags at once, one trip. And it's like, it's okay to have support, and it's okay to lean on people, especially when people offer, like, don't take advantage of people, obviously, but like, allow yourself to lean on people, because if you're doing this journey, it does get tough sometimes. And the way that I've seen most people from this community, like, bypass those speed bumps is by leaning on community and like having support. And it's like not always financial. Sometimes it's like talking to a friend. Sometimes it's reaching out when you see someone else is like struggling, like showing up to someone's show, supporting them, like whatever it is. Like there's so many ways to support people and be supported. So yeah, take calculated risks, but also, yeah, trust yourself, trust your gut.
Love that. Well, I guess this leads into that. If you could describe radical acceptance and self-care in one word, phrase, or mantra, what would it be?
Radical love and acceptance. Okay, I want to get this tattooed so bad. It's from my favorite movie ever. Moulin Rouge, and I saw it when I was 12, and it's the one movie that made me believe in love at a very young age. And the quote is, "The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return." For me, the loving part was easy. Like, it was so easy to just like love people and just like receive other people. But one thing I've learned from myself and other people is that to receive love is the hard part. Like, it is so easy to love another person, support them, show up, give them unconditional, but it is so hard to receive love. I feel like once you learn how to love and be loved, everything else opens up, because to be a little spiritual, we're all the same thing. We're part of the universe, which means one. Once you learn how to love and accept, receive, and give, it makes it so that you can flow better.
I love that. I mean, everything you're saying, I'm just sitting here in agreement, like, my hands are going up in the air, like, yeah, feeling every word. Also, are there any resources or anything that you would like to plug that helped you along your way in your wellness journey?
Okay, so I would say the Rebel Kings of Oakland, because for one, I'm a Rebel King now, and they're the show that I started with, and they've been like one of the best places if you want to like try something new, trying drag for the first time. You're already established in drag, and you're just like, you just want support, and you need an audience, and you want to be received. Like, the Rebel Kings of Oakland is like such a great community. I don't know, the vibes are always there. Everyone, the reception is...
Are you saying Robo or Rebel?
Rebel.
Rebel?
They basically foster an environment where you can express your art and yourself and feel safe and received and loved. So that's a huge resource. Also, the Transgender District, they're doing amazing work. Partner with them, and we do events together. I'm actually going to like check them out soon, because I think I'm ready to start testosterone.
Hey.
So yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. I've been like thinking about it for a long time. And again, like having the community, having the support, having people that I can like talk to about it and just be like, here are my little undeveloped trans thoughts, you know, here are my little feelings, and having people validate that and be like, you don't have to go all in. You don't have to be scared. Like, you can do things on your terms. Like, I don't know. It just made it so that like, I have more freedom. I feel more freedom to explore who I am.
Yeah. And where is this transgender district?
In the Tenderloin in San Francisco.
Okay.
Yes.
And how can folks find you or them?
So I'll be on Instagram for drag at Helixir Drag. That's HELIXIR DRAG. And then Jynder the Barber. This one's hard. So it's JENJITHEBARBER. So that's for my barbering. And then the Transgender District is exactly that on Instagram.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. This was fun. It's nice to see this side of you.
Aw, thanks. I mean, I love talking to you. It's always a good time. Like, literally, like, yeah, I feel like you and I have like several times gotten into conversations where it's like, this is the meaning. Like, this is what it all boils down to, you know? And it's like, I feel like we share similar philosophies.
Oh, for
like,
sure.
Concerning like, you know, community and like growth and like self-expression. So it's like, I don't know, it's beautiful to do things like this with you, because it's like the merging, you know, because like your people are gonna like hear me, like my people are gonna hear you. So it's like, I don't know, just letting people know like we're here, we exist, like we be doing stuff like this, and like so can y'all.
Yeah,
so,
that it's not just all party and drinking, and you know, that a lot of people look at the gay community and immediately are like, let's go party, let's go get drunk, like show me a good time, and it's like, that's not all what we're about.
Exactly. And I think that's huge, because I've met so many people in the community who are like, oh, like I would love to go to this event, but it's super late, or like there's alcohol, or, you know, it's not like accessible. There's so much more to our community than like this one bubble. So it's like, being able to like then expand. And like that's why I talk so freely on my Instagram about like my daily, I wouldn't say struggles, but just the things that I deal with on a daily, because it's like, sure, like you see Helixir, you see like the polish, you see like the fun, but it's also like I'm a real person and like I have real things going on just as much as the next person. And I feel like growing up in the 90s, the message that we always saw was like celebrities are like the elite and like they have it all figured out and like they're so happy. And I'm like, I want people to know like, yes, you can slay and you can also be mentally unwell. You know what I mean? We're allowed to like exist in the duality of it. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to, I feel like there's like this expectation, especially if you have a platform, like you have to show up, you have to like do the thing all the time and like show up with this level of energy, but like that's not sustainable and that's not authentic. So what I like is like showing people the multitudes of, I always say like, let's cry in the club because I'm trying to have a good time, but like, am I thinking about things in my head? Yeah. So it's like, I just want to show people like, there are no expectations. There's no rules. You can literally be whoever you are, however you are, and be received. And like, that's okay.
Yes. Thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. I think that was like my main thing. I was like, I felt it like, even like with like expression stuff, like when I came out like more mask, it's like, now I have to be like a cis passing man. And it's like, no, I'm allowed to be soft and I'm allowed to be dainty and like, I'm allowed to be whatever I feel like, because why would I be anything other than myself, you know?
Yes, thank you. That was amazing.
Yeah, of course.
You will miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Whew, did that hit y'all like it hit me? Because holy moly, I'm thinking about all the things I want to do now. And I'm thinking about like how real that is, of how you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Like, it sounds so simple, but that's some deep shit right there, y'all. The way I'm thinking about it is more of like, you don't have the confidence to be that character yet, but if you have the confidence to like create that character, it's like, this is who I want to be. And then it brings you closer to who you actually are. That's incredible. And it brings such an empowerment and brings such like confidence to bring you closer to who you actually are and no longer people pleasing. It's so inspiring and creative to be able to like create a character. Now I'm like, think about when I would be a vampire on Halloween and how confident and suave I would feel just because I had vampire teeth in a cape. Like, that's who I want to be all the time, suave and just like confident. You just pretend that I have vampire teeth in all the time and maybe it'll just flow. That was really fun, and I hope y'all like, you know, really got your minds thinking how we can stop these gender roles and how we can not be a part of that toxic gender norm expectation and putting it on people, putting it on ourselves. I think that a lot of people will be a lot more happier. Thank you all for listening, and thank you, Helixir, my belly boy. We have so much more to explore and share with you on the pod. Tap that follow or subscribe button to get every episode as soon as it's released. And give us a 5-star rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And join our wellness community on Instagram at Quest Wellness Pod. This podcast was produced in collaboration by Kinoko Chocolates and Puka Puka Creative. Executive producer, Stevie Kwa. Producer, editor, and sound designer, Leah Jackson. Associate producer, Rafaela Landestoy. Original music produced by Basque. His music is amazing. And we can't forget the emotional support by our fur babies, Frankie, Nugget, and Pukalani. People are super confident rocking unibrows now, and I'm like,
it was like connected and it was so cute. And I'm like, that would be so hot right now. Like, ugh.